should be starting here momentarily. I'm going to go ahead and get everyone checked in now. So we'll start at the top of my screen here. I have two folks under Kitty Fisher. If you could take yourself off of mute, and if you could each give me your names and who you're representing here today. It looks like you may be the owners.
You're right.
Okay.
Steve Fisher, Kitty Fisher. Or Catherine Fisher.
Okay. Great. Welcome. Get started here just momentarily. I have a Robert Strunk, it looks like, as the applicant. Is that right?
You got it. That's me. I did the drawings.
Great. Fantastic. Welcome. Okay. Are you expecting anyone else to join us here today, either on the owner or applicant side?
We're the owners.
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Okay. Not expecting any other witnesses or anyone else to testify here on your behalf today.
No.
Nope.
Great. All right. I see we also have Trey Sheldon, our zoning plans examiner. Welcome, Trey.
Good morning, everybody. David, I did have one neighbor call, and I emailed her copies of my staff report and the plans, and she seemed fine with it. So,
okay.
What do you
Thanks.
say?
I don't know. Can't understand.
He said that there was a neighbor that wrote in and asked for more information about the project, but that is not going to be participating here today. Okay. Last thing I need to do here is just read through our hearing script. This will basically just cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll get started. So this is the February 8th, 2023 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. My name again is David Sturkey. I'll be presiding over the hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20230003. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If there were anyone here from the public, they would have an opportunity to speak after the applicant had presented its case. I'll give Trey Sheldon an opportunity to provide any testimony in addition to his staff report. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and or argument that was offered in opposition. And finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. So for our purposes here today, I'll allow Mr. Strunk and the Fishers to tell me about the project, any background they think is important, anything they think would be good for me to know before I make a decision on this project. And then, of course, why you think I should grant the relief. You all can orient that in any way that you would like. All of you can speak. One of you can speak. I'm pretty liberal about how you guys want to present that information to me. So that is completely up to you. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at this hearing. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay, the last thing I need to do is swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any comments, asking any questions, really doing anything other than just strictly observing, then the zoning code requires me to swear you in. So if you believe that is you, if you could raise your right hand, I'll need everyone to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. All right. Who will be taking the lead on the presentation here today?
I will. I just wanted to, the reason we're doing this to several reasons. One is to add a little dimension to our house. My wife would like a front porch, and this is all we're adding is a front porch. We're coming out 6 feet, and then we're adding to our landing from our coming down the steps, because when you open the front door, you run into the steps. We're adding 6 or 8 inches there. It's just to give a little bit more dimension to the house, and actually just to give a little an area we can see neighbors and talk to neighbors and sit on our front porch, and a little protection from opening the door and for people to come into the house, because there'd be a roof over their head then, instead of just a straight non-dimensional front of the house. And in fact, I mean, our house would be closer to the street than the adjoining neighbors, but if you take the houses across the street, they are basically, if you take the houses on Principio, they're much closer to the house, to the street than ours. And if you take the one directly across the street, that house is closer to ours. It's just the adjoining houses on Hayward that sit farther back. But if you go down the street further, there are some that actually sit much, much closer to us. So it's really kind of it's a mixed kind of area where people's houses sit close to the street, not so close to the street.
Gotcha. Okay. Anything else from the Fishers right now?
We also have at this point a walkway that leads in from to the front door that leads in from Principio that is quite in need of repair, and it's deteriorated and rising somewhat up out of the ground and at a tilt. So that has to come out no matter what. There has to be something done, and as well as the platform space as you walk out of the front door is part of that. So that also precipitated the desire to improve the front presentation of the house.
One other thing, there's a small leak at that area, so this into our basement, so that would take care of that also.
Yes, that also is it. Because
So
of the facade is a flat facade from the gutter. And we also felt that if we were going to, since we do have to do something to the front of the house, we thought we would try to, with a porch that would aid the runoff situation rather than coming straight down the front of the house. I mean, we do have a gutter there, but there is more of a predisposition to leakage, I believe, than if we had something there to improve that runoff.
Also, we need a new front door, whether we granted
good.
this or not. We have to put a front door in the house because it's deteriorated.
It's the original door,
and
the house was built in 53.
And it gets western exposure all day long, so it's deteriorated.
Gotcha. Okay. And quick question, do you know what your current front setback is and how much footage you're adding or reducing that front setback with this addition?
Bob might be able to tell you that.
Well, off the top, I assumed that the drawings would be available here for us to look at. I figured that those would be part of this presentation by the city, that you'd have those in the queue. So I don't have those in front of me right now. I can look that up, but the numbers are deceiving in that the whole house, if you start to compare that house, their house, with the houses adjacent to it that we were obligated to do our averages based on, it's an anomaly. I mean, the entire house is sitting forward of what the average line is because it's a corner lot. So to compare it with those adjacent houses is really, it says something like we're asking for 20 some feet of variance when, most of that's already there, sitting there on the site, right? We're really only asking for the porch. So it's kind of the numbers don't add up to what we're doing, actually what we're building. What we're asking for is really like, 6 feet, not 20 some feet, which again, I don't have that drawing right in front of me right now. Trey could speak to that maybe.
That's sort of what I was getting at. Is it already out of compliance just as it sits today?
Correct. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't really add up. It doesn't fall into that category,
And so the additional square footage into the front setback only accounts for about 6 feet. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Strunk, did you have other testimony you wanted to add on to what the Fishers have said?
No, other than I think it just serves to make the house more attractive, which I would think neighbors would appreciate. It does a number of things to help the owners as well as enhance the look of the neighborhood. It doesn't, the yard is still substantially, full. We're not, it doesn't have the appearance that we're trying, that we're encroaching on anything. And as Steve said, neighbors across the street have a very similar setback. Neighbors down the street have a very similar setback. It's just that by virtue of the rules, the houses that we have to be compared with that are immediately adjacent have this kind of unusual setback. You know, and the further you zoom out on Cages, the more obvious that those are kind of the anomaly properties, not ours.
Okay. Anything else right now?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Trey, did you want to add any testimony?
Just that, exactly what Bob just spoke to, it pretty much outlines that in my staff report. The base setback there in the district is 30 feet. And as you go southward, increasingly those properties were built further back and have a bigger lot. It goes by 25 feet, then I believe 25, then 50, and then 60 by the time you get down there. That is, the lot depth is that much more. So I think this lot, the house was built a bit after those other houses, and it was built into a curve on Principio. So if you look at the like my figure 2 on the site plan or in Cages, you'll see that made them kind of not only have a driveway off of Principio, but push the house further forward, because otherwise you'd be up by the right of way. That makes sense, David? If you had this back as far as the other house, you'd have the back corner of the house like in the right of way. So I think that really governed where they placed the footprint of this house. And I agree, it's an anomaly. But the other houses to the south are those 4 houses are an anomaly compared to predominant setbacks in the neighborhood.
Got it. Okay. Anything else, Trey?
No, I think that's it. It's a reasonable ask here. They're just asking for a covered front porch. I did note that numerous houses in the neighborhood have either a front portico or porch like this, or else they have a substantially inset front door, like an alcove that you can, stay out of the weather and so on. So that on top of that, coupled with the fact that they're having leakage issues there, drainage issues, I think this is a very reasonable request.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks. Anything else or any response in closing or otherwise from the Fishers or Mr. Strong?
Not for me.
I don't think so.
Nope. All set.
Okay.
All set here.
Okay. So I've had a chance to review the application materials and the staff report. Based on that and based on the testimony I've heard here today, I'm going to approve the application. I need to formalize that approval in a written decision. I mentioned at the outset that usually takes about 2 weeks. As soon as I finish that decision, I put it into a PDF and I email it to everybody who's in the hearing here today. So you all will have a copy of that really just moments after it's complete. As soon as you have that PDF, you'll be able to work with Trey, and Trey can approve the permitting so that you can move forward. Any questions about any of that or about the approval itself?
I don't think so.
Not for me.
Okay,
Nope.
great. Well, if you do in the meantime, feel free to reach out, or if you'd like a status update on the decision, you can reach out to me directly. Happy to provide that for you or answer any other questions you may have.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good
Thanks,
luck with
David.
the project. Have a great day.